Welcome to the Rambling Rabbit. We have a special guest with us today. This is the first interview of the Rambling Rabbit podcast. We're sticking with the whole theme of the history of DMT World, and what we are doing is I brought on a guest who goes by the name of Spirotribe. He's been with the community since about almost day one, if not close to it. And he's actually probably he's the first person that I ever got to know outside of the website. Like he's the first person I communicated and met on the website except my partner. So I'm going to go ahead and let Spirotribe introduce himself and say a few things. Welcome, Spiro, to the Rambling Rabbit. How are you today?
Hello. Hi, Happy. How are you? I'm good.
I'm good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Whoa.
Don't be shy.
Yikes.
Okay, how about this? How did you choose the name Spirotribe?
Okay.
Because,
There's
when we
that.
come on to DMT World, everybody's got to pick a name. So I picked HappyKB, you picked Spirotribe. Is there a reasoning?
Yeah, there was the whole thing's it's kind of interesting to me because it was one of those moments where it feels like the law of attraction works. I'd like very specifically, because things were bad, and I mean things were just, my life was not yet getting much better. I was going through hard times, like, still. It had
Right.
been years of a certain struggle.
Right.
And I guess having leaned on psychedelics kind of before, or not really leaned on them, but it's part of my life, and I know their value. I had kind of, for some reason, just really set my sights on DMT and was like, all right, I think that's what needs to happen now. And so
Right.
I asked, and I don't know, a little while went by, and it was like pretty literal. Like, it's like usually kind of figurative, but this was really weirdly call and return.
Right.
So and my friend pops up and sends me a link. And I was like, what is this? Because I don't have I have a Facebook account, but I'm not aware of too much outside of like me. So
Right.
he sent me this link, and
Wait,
that was
you had a friend send you a link of DMT World to DMT World? Does that mean
Yeah,
what you mean?
I had opened up, yeah, see, I had opened up the door for DMT to happen, but I knew it wasn't like, I think I would need DMT to occur or in my space, like,
Right.
bring it. But having enough background and enough fear about things and whatever, I just wanted to be open to how maybe does the universe want this to unfold. So, I didn't want to push and, I want to, this is what I want. It was like, let's see what happens. I feel like I'm ready kind of thing. And so I
Right.
got, that my friend just gave me this link, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was for, I guess it was I think it was for the Google store, just to get the app, because I never went to the website or anything. I just got the app. And that's why things were a little bit weird for me too, because during that time it was like super larval.
It had
And
to
just
been
coming together.
well, hang on. It had to have been the mobile website because at that point in time we didn't have an app yet. So you probably got
Yeah,
the
you're
link
probably
and
right.
it pulled up the mobile desktop,
That
which
you're right.
acts like the app. Yeah.
But on my phone, I only was on my phone. I didn't yet have a computer.
Right.
So it all just felt like an app to me, but
Well, sure.
whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and essentially it is. That's why they call
Be
it a
historic.
mobile. That's why they call it a mobile app, because when it does pull up into the phone, it is actually, it acts more like an app does than it does a website. or you can barely see anything on it. Okay,
Well,
so
it worked.
you got the link to bring
Yes.
you to DMT World.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck is this? I'm afraid of social media. And I already had the name because I had an email address of a Spirotribe email address, but that was sort of like this pipe dream notion that there were more than just one of me hobbling around like wounded healer, sick earthling, yeah, like
Right.
struggling. And the Spyro tribe notion was the idea that I would somewhat day gather with others that were also afflicted with the specific spirochetal
Right.
situation. And and when I was kind of, I don't know, I was like searching for identity and all that crap. I was like, I guess I'll be Spirotribe and see what happens and try to see what goes on with this community. And it turns out I'm afraid of of social media still, and I could give it probably another try, but I have to step way back because it's just too intense for me. But the community that I stumbled upon, of course, when this happened, I was like, whoa, beautiful. So it's, it was always difficult for me not to be able to jump right in and be really a part of things. I don't know if
Right.
anybody remembers or if there's archives or like whatever, but my general presence is kind of odd, but like consistent. And um, during that time, I was going through so much shit. Like I couldn't even begin to tell you. I'm so much better now to be even be able to like have a conversation or answer the whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even begin to tell you.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So like that's how that happened. I mean, I don't know. The it was one of those things that was kind of I'm still a little bit shy and embarrassed about because it's like nobody wants to talk about that, and I don't really want to just identify as that. So
Right.
Spyro works because nobody really knows what that is. But
Well,
in my heart, it's
here's the thing. Let me put it in perspective for you. That was a long time ago. We've been around for 4 years, and you've been around with us for about 4 years. And the community has changed. Like it is a constant revolving community. So the people when you were more active then, a lot of those people don't even exist on the platform anymore and barely would remember anything. And if anything anybody remembers about you is you like food because your group what you eaten, and you are you bicycle because you had another group that is bicycling. So like the things that you are holding on to with what occurred with on social media in the past is strictly that it's you learning to let go of that and figure out how to be a part of it again, but you also understand everything with everything in moderation. That includes moderation. So you have learned you can be on social media, but you can't absorb it like you can't be on consistently like some people can. So
I get super, no, I feel it feels too much. I don't need, and and then I'm unable to decipher, to differentiate the feelings that I'm pulling, like
yeah.
cyber empath feelings, or
Yes.
the stuff that, like, if the calls are coming from inside the house or outside the house, and I'm just like, I don't need to, anyway, it's
No,
too
no.
much.
I completely understand. So we established you've been about with us for about 4 years. So you
And so,
no, go
yes.
ahead. What were you going to say?
No, when I look back and think about it, I'm so pleased that it's been that much time and things have, you know, moved right along and
Yeah,
morphed and have evolved.
and
And
we're still here.
yeah, like it's pretty cool. I mean, I can't slosh around in the puddles with the kids but
Right.
I like to stand on the beach and watch.
Right. Well, and you're a supporter. Like you support by you're the first person who ever bought merchandise from us. And you've just
Oh
recently
wow.
bought merchandise again. So like you support the
Oh yeah.
community in the ways that you can.
Well,
And really
and
that's
I go for it. No, no, go ahead.
well, and that's important. Like you are in the community, even though you're not active, you're in the community. And as long as you are in the community, you're supporting it the best that you can because you understand that social media is not your thing. But you keep in contact with the people
This
throughout.
is like a garden though. Like the DMT world is like a garden that
Yeah.
I am able to enjoy and imagine how wonderful it would have been if I had this garden when I was feeling like I wanted to go run around in the crazy garden. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Oh yes.
And I love that's what I kind of like love about it is that I think that people that are more geared towards that sort of like
Yes,
I,
I
I don't
agree.
know lifestyle like I just don't actually I just don't know I don't I just kind of like lost my words but um younger people I think it's just that's not even younger people I don't know what I mean when I was a kid, when I was young, there was nothing to glom onto. All we had was each other, and there weren't many of us. We lived in a small community, and it's
Right.
just refreshing to imagine that there are people now that are coming up that have the opportunity to dip their toes in the pool, and then there's other fucking people at the pool. It's not your own echo chamber.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's that I think is fucking dope. It's really that
I
is.
agree. I agree.
And I mean, I guess my understanding sort of is like you can't actually be yourself in that way on other platforms. And I'm not familiar with that like personally, but I think that people run into trouble when they show their freak flag in this specific kind of way. And
Right.
it's nice. I if I'm not incorrect in saying that it's a safe haven in that way for people that are like, can you please just can I just be the way that I am? This is the way that I am. I do these things. This is my medicine, whatever. It's just, this is my bag. So fuck off.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
because how many of us hide? How many of
Yeah, that's
us
well, that's what I
just
mean. Like life
Mhm.
was so fucked when we were kids. Like it was like you were in trouble if you
Right.
smoked pot. Like so there was this underlying like constant. I mean, not that it's gone. I think that everybody at every time has had their own backpack filled with crap, regardless.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
it always just a little bit different. It's
Yeah.
all just a different flavor. But yeah, it's awesome. Anyway,
No, I get it. So how old were you when you first tried your first when started doing psychedelics? About how old were you? Do you remember?
oh,
Has it been that
um,
long?
yeah, it's kind of been that long. But I think about this sometimes. I think it was the summer of probably my. I think I'm. I feel like I think I took acid and ate mushrooms in this very close proximity.
Mhm.
And I feel like it was probably sophomore year, but it might have even been the summer of freshman year. I don't think it was me going into high school, but it
You're
could
about
have been.
15 or 16. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a moped. I know I had a moped when I was 16. And I remember that summer I was really stoked about smoking joints. I was just
Nice.
like, joints are great. And I can smoke joints in the summertime at the lake. This is fantastic. And I don't know. That was like, you know, that never
Yeah,
happened before.
right. So,
Mhm.
um, what psychedelic do you favor the most and why? I know that's hard, but
Well, no, I mean, so if we were gonna include cannabis,
Mhm.
then cannabis is my is my favorite psychedelic. But if we were going to move on and just say, well, that's just got psychedelic properties, it's not really psychedelic. It's really
Right.
a hypnotic or whatever. Um, then I really don't know. I have, I have so much gratitude that's still catching up for all the weird things that I've gotten myself into and or taken.
Right.
Like when you immediately say that, I go, well, and then it's like an onslaught. I go, well, if not for DMT, then and how many, I microdosed after DMT happened. I microdosed like 180 days in a row, I think. Like to because I just didn't. Was having a hard time integrating, like, and before that, of course, there were several times. I think it's somewhere. It's like then 2CB.
Yeah.
And there was so much ketamine in my life. I honestly don't know. It's like, who's your favorite girlfriend? Like, are you kidding? That's mean. It's like, don't put me on the spot. No, but hush. Like, how do you quantify that? What do you say? Well, which one holds the most value? Like memorably, or time spent doing, or most change that's occurred in your life as a result of? It's like,
What? Okay, here you go. Here you go. What
but I mean, no,
psychedelic?
I mean, that's just an answer to. I mean, that's part of the like. I'm almost asking you back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not. It's not even like clarify. It's like, but this is such a mega amalgam. Yikes!
Well, I can tell you what
Like,
mine is.
this is our psychonaut experience. Like, I
Right,
mean,
but what would do you favor besides the cannabis if you had to be like, okay, I only can have one besides
oh,
cannabis. You can have cannabis. I can only have one psychedelic
oh,
for the
well,
rest of
and
my life.
probably,
What would it be?
I think probably LSD.
Yeah, mine too. I have a severe, passionate love affair with LSD. That's it. I love DMT too, but LSD is my thing. Um, so
Yeah, and I mean you can go to the buffet and go to town. I'm different, but like in that way, I'm a bit more sensitive.
well,
But
that's true.
still, it's like nothing ignites every single thing in such a wonderful way. I than the way LSD does. I don't know how to
No,
the
I
way
agree.
that it makes the human interface with uh whatever this part of the trip is. It just makes it fantastic,
Agreed.
and kind of like makes things feel, I don't know, it's weird. It's weirdly natural for as not natural as it is.
I like the way that the world turns into a carnival and a roller coaster ride all at the same time, and how my brain melts and gets twisted and like oozes out my ear, and then the next thing I know, everything's put back together, and it seems to be put back together better than it was
Ooh.
before. The clarity that I get after an LSD trip, I love it. I love the way I feel. I love the way that it kind of makes me feel like I've gone through a war or I've gone through some really, like, I've been in the trenches. And then when you get through to the other end and you're in your afterglow and you're like, yeah, and the reflection, and it's like, oh, like everything makes sense, and the gratitude is there, and I'm ready to go on with the rest of my world and in a different mindset. It really, really, really resets. That's what LSD really does for me. It resets me back
Oh,
to where I need to be.
I love hearing about the way that your experiences are, and you, and just in general, you're not happy for nothing. But that when I like, I'm not able to, that that's not my experience. Like, I can't even remember what I was just about to say. Like, I'm so glad that um you're able to do that. I have to, I think. there's been so much time spent, especially just after most of my LSD and all those other things that happened, is when
Mhm.
I got super sick and things. I think things got kind of confused uh, in my head, and that difficulty, like
Yeah.
that fucking war that just kind of never ends,
Right.
um, carried over into that universe. And so the tools that I gained in the early days when I was able to like do what you said, like struggle, rebuild,
Yeah.
Phoenix from the fire, like all that those I wasn't able to participate in that in later like that during a period of my life when I really, really wanted to,
Mhm.
but I had already, and it was absolutely invaluable, like the most precious thing. And I feel like it's too bad you can't just give it to someone. But um,
Yeah.
learning to fight in that way is like really valuable. I don't have great words for what I'm trying to say, but it's kind of like when do you remember in high school, did you ever have the experience when you'd like smoke pot and then go do something extremely challenging? Like it was just the thing you would do. And it was like,
Yes.
why would you do that? And it's like,
Yes.
because it's fun, and because when you're done you're like, it's like, I mean, it's kind of like it's a form of some kind of spiritual exercise or something.
Absolutely.
uh,
Yes.
and like that's the kind of armor and weaponry that you end up with being awarded after you go through these difficult endeavors. And I think I got the absolute near death ever loving shit kicked out of me so hard that I have a hard time differentiating, when I go into a difficult state, my body immediately just thinks you're sick again, you're gonna fucking die and you have to go to the hospital. Because that's just how bad it was for me. My experience in particular was particularly awful, and I was ended up in the hospital, as you know, for like a couple of weeks. So
Right.
now I feel like weirdly mauled by that. And so, not to be a victim, but like chemically, and
Yeah.
maybe it's just because of my own, like already the way that I'm kind of made up. It's not that I feel like a victim by it. I mean, it happens that way when it trick when certain stressors come up.
Yes.
I fall into this space where all that shit starts happening again. And it's like, I know better, but the chemistry is present. And that's all that matters is my experience with my eyes closed right then. And, like just the other day, I had a very, very hard time, and I had a medication foul up that threw me into this space. And I mean, I was able to call on my skills, but it was like a legitimate medical emergency. Like I
Right.
wasn't absorbing my medication for a period of time and then apexed, and I went into this like crazy dark, uh, like downward spiral. Uh, like I had the doctor, I needed to tap out. Like I was able to know from my skills in whatever that just from, therapy and stuff or psychedelic activities or whatever, that like I needed to phone a friend,
Right.
like,
You
because it
needed to
was
reach
too
out.
fucked up.
Here's my
Yeah.
question. Can I ask a personal question? You
What,
mentioned
I think, yes, I think so.
you mentioned you're on medication. May I ask what your medication is for?
Oh yeah. I just say that shit like with no regard to that it's private, and that you're not supposed to wear that shit on your
Not
sleeve.
necessarily private, but like
No, I'm
there are
I'm
so
not
many.
feeling that way. I just
No,
am
that's what I'm saying.
saying,
Like there's just so many things that you could be on medication for, and we know that psychedelics can be affected
well,
by
it
medication. So
complicates. Yeah,
right.
it's put a real big. I've probably denied being on medication that the doctors have wanted me to be on in the past, because I wanted to continue being able to do psychedelic stuff. And I
Sure.
know that you kind of have to choose.
Right.
So I have I have it things. I'm on Effexor for I'm on an antidepressant. We can blur it out. I don't know if you're actually allowed to say things like that, but I take extended release Effexor, and the problem I had was with extended release gabapentin and called Grelise, and the two weren't being absorbed for a period of time because I had a barium drink for a CAT scan, and no one told me that that was going to turn my bowels into like concrete.
Oh,
So
goodness.
over the next like 2 weeks of me kind of working that out, even though obviously I was getting a CAT scan because I have bowel issues, nobody still pointed it out.
Right.
And since I take three extended release medications, because I'm also on two blood pressure medications,
Goodness.
this is all, in my opinion, this is all from Lyme too, by the way. Just
Okay, so
saying.
hang
I
on just a minute. You have been diagnosed with Lyme disease, correct?
Yeah,
I don't think we established that anywhere.
probably not. It's because
So
I didn't. I try not to say it out loud, but yeah,
no,
like
I
I
understand.
in the year 2000, I got super sick. I got bit by a spider. I got a necrotizing wound. I started to throw up yellow stuff, and then I fell
Mm.
extremely ill over the next 4 days, and ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks with uh, Lyme
Wow.
disease, and
And
was like crippled.
what year was this? What
2000.
2000. And we're in
Yeah,
2023.
nobody knew what was going on. Yeah, yep,
Wow. That's a long time. So you've been dealing with this Lyme, and so this has
yeah,
caused,
on and off.
and so you take a lot of medications for the Lyme disease. Um,
Well, not. I mean, it's been. See, that particular bout was
mhm.
dealt with and then left to become latent and disseminate. And then I
Okay.
got several other tick bites. So I lived in the country and I had pets and I ran a farm and there was horses and goats and
Right.
everything, and I got ticks. So
Yeah.
in the year 2016, I got actually a bullseye, even though I'd gotten sick several times over. Like I couldn't even begin to tell you. This is why my brain is so traumatized by this situation. It
Right.
hasn't been just like one time. It was like there was the one time when I was hospitalized. And then after that, it was just like, oh, by the way, forget your job, forget your personality. You're probably gonna your for girlfriend, they don't have to forget her because she's gonna forget you. Like you
Mm.
destroy every relationship you have because you lose your fucking mind in a way that you just can't even explain to people. It's very strange. And so
Right.
I had this, and then you rebuild, and then everything's okay, and then maybe you get sick again. And at the time, nobody knew how to differentiate all this stuff, and I just knew I was for whatever reason I was susceptible. I got a strain of Lyme in the beginning that was killer, and after that I feel like my spirochete load was like fightable, so I was fighting it and just
Right.
keeping it down. And then
Yeah.
each time one of these things came along and fucking fucked me up again. And do you want to talk darks? Like the thing I likened it to is when I
Mhm.
finally was able to read Neuromancer. There's the part in Neuromancer when they inject him with the mycotoxin and it burns out his nervous system, and he just spends a few days in the hotel sweating and hallucinating. That's
Mhm.
how it is. And
Oh
like,
my.
but no one will believe you. like anyway, so
That's
like time went on like that, and in 2016 I got sick, and I ended up in the hospital again, and I found a doctor, and I was on you know doxycycline, nothing special, no nothing good, and ever since it's like it'll crop up and give me a hard time, and it's arguable if that's what it is or that isn't. And now I'm like that dog that somebody slapped every time they gave it food.
right.
Just
Yeah.
very confused about what's going on inside my body. So the other day, for instance, when I went into this and this is like this is psychonaut territory. It's just the dark side. Like
Right.
I went into this place where my effexor stopped working, which means somebody pulled the plug on my serotonin and norepinephrine, and in a very bad way. And
Mm.
that happened solid for 2 days without me knowing. And I just, along with it, it was a gradual buildup, but me getting little dribs and drabs of the gabapentin I was supposed to be getting. A bit,
Right.
and so over that time, I fell into this very dark space. I became aggro. I was aggressive and shitty. I couldn't control my body temperature well. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. The only good thing in the world was smoking. I didn't want to drink. And then it came to a head where I
Oh, you
couldn't
cut out.
digest.
Hang on, you cut out. Can you repeat that again, please?
Oops.
It's okay.
Um, from just
Uh,
things had become over a few days very dark and trippy in a very
right.
ugly way from the medication not being absorbed.
Mm.
And it sounds like boohoo, poor me, but since we're talking about psychonaut stuff, and
Right.
this was a recent experience, I there was very very gradually intermittent breaks in my absorption, and then it just shut down for some reason. One night, I don't know, incidentally, I'd eaten Indian food. I was sick all day, couldn't eat,
Mm.
and I ate, and then I threw up all of my medication. And then when I had none to absorb for that one day, it had pushed into a cascade effect of the other days, and I started to realize what was happening because I started getting brain zaps, which
Oh,
are not something that you just have
right.
unless you're on SSRIs and coming off of them. So I was like, holy shit, I'm not absorbing I'm not, I know, understand what's happening now. And so then I was like down on all my medication and all fucked up, um, and having a real hard time. I don't remember where this story, how this was just the other three
This is
days ago.
right. This is just an experience, a flare up that you experience with your medications,
Yeah.
and you were
And
talking about how it's very similar to some of the experiences that psychonauts deal
yeah, the
with.
training. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It was like, yes. So a lot of like quality psychonaut
Right.
training came out.
Well, and that's my
And
question. This is my question. Since you've said that, do you think doing psychedelics and being a psychonaut has helped you navigate through this illness that you are dealing with and understanding your body and your brain and understanding like how it feels? Do you think because you have the experience with psychedelics that it has helped you in dealing with what you're dealing with the Lyme and even with these other medications? Do you think that is something that has helped you with this?
I'm positive,
Yeah.
like there's no
Um,
question. I don't know what dark alley I would be crying in right now with a half retarded child and a pile of fentanyl or something. I have
yeah.
no idea what shithole I would be in because I was such a fucking lunatic when I was a kid. It all started to go bad. And this reaches deeper into I'm not sure if it's, we're not sure, but the first doctor I spoke to said, you probably got Lyme disease when you were like 10. And I was
Oh,
like, that is what makes sense,
right.
is that my mother got it in 1984, case closed, no, end of discussion. All right, let's just not even talk about my mother's fucking legacy of ailments.
Wow.
So so that's a fact.
Right.
We're playing in the leaves together. And the way that I see it, considering there were scares where I had spinal meningitis, but I didn't have spinal meningitis, or I had some kind of bacterial problem where I had to go to the hospital and I didn't have that thing. It was like these mystery illnesses before we knew to look for this shit. We lived
Right.
in New Jersey, and I think that that's just what happened. I think we got the hot load from the late 70s, and it stuck with us, and we we were able to fight it, but it mutates its way into your life and it creates other behavioral issues. And I
Right.
think that's part of why my inner self, even if you cut the Lyme disease away, but just say, all right, well, you had some genetic problems or psychological issues or something. I still think that was why I was drawn towards the whole thing to begin with. It was just always explore those things. Like there's just no question. I presume that my nephews and everyone else around me thinks the same way. Newsflash, they fucking don't. Like
Oh, yeah.
not all the kids are thinking, what if I mix these things together? Will it make something else? And how will it make me feel? Like
Right.
that's not everybody. So I don't know. My experience, I feel like it was with like getting sick
Yeah.
was, a kind of fortunate in that way because I don't know, whatever. I was able to like there are people that I see that just get sick and fucked up and lost, and they just
And they
put them
can't
on
deal with it.
like
Right.
they put them on Zyprexa and Risperdal, and they stick them in a loony bin for a little while, and they convince them that they're just a crazy asshole with fucking bad menstruation issues or whatever.
Yeah.
And the next thing how the fuck are they ever going to sort that out? And at that point, you can't come along responsibly and say, I think psychedelics will straighten you out. That's fucked up. You can't do it.
Okay,
So
so here's my question since you mentioned that. We are now seeing, though, the movement in psychedelics being utilized in the therapies now, Spyro, in the medical
right.
area. So do you think that that movement is going to be helpful in situations like, for instance, for yourself? Like, do you think that that is something that's going to be able to help, is using these psychedelics in these therapies and in these situations?
Yes.
Yes.
So, but just to be clear, when I said that, I meant I couldn't responsibly approach a person and be like,
Right.
I think you blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
yes,
Right.
things have changed. And now the boom of like therapists and stuff, I think they're kind of having a hard time making this thing gel because it's pretty tough to grab. Like, I
Yeah.
think that it could be insanely helpful, like endlessly helpful, but there's a really hardcore learning curve. Like I grew up in the country and I was not privileged, but certainly not very challenged. I
Right.
mean, and I had a playground, so it was easier for me to just decide. I heard it was, there was no internet, so it was like I think I could fix my brain with. I always thought if I took LSD, I'd be able to see everything and I mean draw everything in cartoons after, which is a weird reason, like to be. And then that time I took acid, every tree turned into upside down carrot, and I was on the inside of the inside out garden.
Oh,
Uh,
my.
it was, yeah, like it was good. So,
So,
yeah.
how do you feel about the psychedelics moving into the therapy hands and into pharma and all of the medical and stuff? Are you comfortable? How comfortable are you with going to a therapist or going to somebody that is an administrator of these types of things that have not used them themselves?
Oh, jeepers. I hadn't thought of that. No. I think it's nice. I think it would be okay for me because I've used them myself already.
Right.
But I don't know how I would feel doing well, no, to redact that. I don't think I like it. I think it's just like probably very similar to trying to go to an alcohol drug and alcohol counselor and talk about something like that. That's
Somebody who's never
so
experienced
personal,
it. Yeah.
right?
Right.
I mean, you have to qualify in a way. It,
Right.
I,
I firmly believe that I think anybody that's going to go into therapy should at least have the experience of it somehow, have tried
it
it.
would seem really ridiculous to me that someone that hadn't would. I would question their motives.
Right.
Like, but then again, sometimes people that go through those experiences might have a tougher time monetizing an experience. Like, it may be more difficult after an experience to be able to step back and watch everybody else. But nah, screw that. You got to be part of it. Nah, I'm just
Mhm.
thinking out loud. I don't know how, I don't feel great about that. When I think about therapy like that, I imagine, I think I would enjoy MDMA therapy with somebody that was like a real dialectical behavioral therapy ninja.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
like
Yeah.
that's just I think would be like so you could just sit there and like splooge out like all these like all this shit you got piled up in the corners of your mind and then have somebody like help you really hammer it out and like and do things like write things down for you like when you
Yeah.
can't and like be intuitive to knowing when that's important or whatever or like pat you on the back if you're fucking crying or not touch you if you're crying depending on the context, you know what I'm saying? So
Oh, sure.
I think though
We,
that that would be
hey,
really
hey,
difficult.
we call those trip sitters, by the way.
Well, yes, I mean a trip sitter, but I mean a professional one. Like that
Oh,
I don't that hasn't been tripping. Like
right.
that was the thing. So like do they I couldn't I don't want someone when I'm just all right, thinking when I differentiate when I imagine a trip sitter, that's a friend that's making sure to hold space for you. When I'm thinking about this other thing, it's
Yeah.
different. They're there to like they're there to fuck with you, manipulate and watch you. Like you have to trust them, and they're there to be therapists.
Do you think
I mean,
you
I
would
guess
be
there's a
willing to
difference.
trust them?
You'd have to have the talk. You'd have to be like, "What's your role? Why are you here? What are you going to
Well,
do for me?"
well, that's
Like,
just it. Like when I'm doing MDMA and I'm doing like psychedelics, I want to be around somebody who I'm comfortable with. I don't know if going into a therapy
yeah,
session, if I'd be very comfortable and want to be open with somebody I didn't
it'd be
know.
weird.
It would
Just be
be.
too weird.
It would be. It may not be for other people though who have not ever experienced psychedelics or the MDMA and all those different things. It may be a completely, totally different experience for them though. I mean, we've been doing this by ourselves. Like we've been our own administrators. We've been the ones that have been like, oh, I'm going to take this amount. I'm going to do this, and then we go through the trip, and we don't have those people around us. So like to then, in my mind, to go into a therapy where somebody is going to be in there with yeah the comfort level is has to be I'm a solo tripper so like it's very temperamental. My kid walks in like if I'm on a
Uh,
certain substance they've got to be very careful because like I can I can flip or I can my kids I'm very comfortable with my kids but again like it's like I don't know. It's something I sit and I think about. And with you because I know you've utilized a lot of therapy for just different things, dealing with the Lyme, dealing with just some of the mental things that it comes along with it. So that's why I was interested to see how you felt about the therapy part of it because you have spent some time in therapy with some different people and this whole psychedelic movement with this therapy and the I'm not against it. I don't want people to think that I'm against it.
no.
It's just not I'm not a therapy person anyways. Like I've never gone to counseling. I've never spoke to a therapist. I'm that's a realm I don't know much about. So like for me that anyways is kind of uncomfortable. So then you throw psychedelics in there and psychedelics to me is very personal experience. Like I said, I've from the time I've started this, I've been administrating it to me and then to other people who have come to me and are like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't want to do it by myself. I was the am and will always be a trip sitter, but to go into this other area kind of it's weird to me. I just don't know how I feel about it. And that's why I like to hear how
Yeah,
other people feel about it because I'm not very comfortable with it. And it's
yeah.
just because I'm not in that realm. Make sense?
I well, I yeah, but the realm stinks. I mean, it reeks of something right now.
Well, the
I
the
mean, I
money
think that it's
the
like,
money
yeah,
part of it all really bugs me. The money part of all this really
yeah.
bugs me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that it's like with all hope. Well, I don't. It's not like with all things. Like with some things, shit comes out in the wash, you know. So like maybe that's how this will go. And because we're talking about psychedelics,
Right.
maybe the bullshit won't fly as far as a lot of the, I don't know, the folks, I don't know if maybe
Their
I guess I don't
intentions.
really. Yeah, it may, like there's a lot of questions about all
Yes.
that, especially if you're not a trip, if you're not if you don't
You're not a user.
yourself. Yeah, exactly. Like then I don't know. I just feel like
And it's also really hard for me to want to listen to other people who are not users, are not actively utilizing, growing, extracting, and but yet want to have their fingers in the psychedelic pot to get to tell people
no, it's just very questionable. I don't
what to do,
understand that.
how to do, how much you can do, how much you can't do, what is what. That's something that it's really hard for me to like trust that we have these people
No, no
in
doubt.
place that have the best intentions and are actually looking out for all of us in the community. It's sometimes it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, that's what is going on because I'm a negative Nancy when it comes to some of this stuff. Like, my number one thing, Spyro, is I am really hoping that these people that are out there lobbying and are pushing these laws through that are legalizing some of this stuff or decriminalizing some of this stuff is thinking about the individual rights of the people who are in the psychedelic community. That's what I
Uh,
hope people are thinking about, but I haven't heard that in any avenue. All I hear
mm,
about is, oh, decriminalize. Oh, let's legalize. Well, they want to do that so we can open it up for therapy sessions. So therapists, so we can be utilizing these substances in therapies.
yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
well, that's great and I'm wonderful. But I want you to fight for my right to be able to cultivate, to be able to possess, to be able to make
right.
this determination what I put into
Huh.
my body and all those things. I don't want somebody, because we know with legalization comes regulation. Regulation puts us right back where we were before things were legalized because then our hands are tied and we don't get to say so of what we're consuming, what we're growing, what we get to do with it. That's all I really want out of this. The rest of it can do whatever. I just want my individual rights to to do this. That's all I really want. That's why I can sit and talk about the therapy because that doesn't make sense to me. But as long as we're, and I know that's why I've thought about it. That's why we are pushing the legalization, the decriminalization, because that's the way that our therapy and our pharmaceuticals and all these things can actually get approved and get moving and people can actually utilizing them, and then it makes it okay
Yeah, but then
because it's legal.
the money hunters get a whiff of it, and then they're the ones that are pushing for the legislation and all that because their motives. And
That's right.
the very, 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 very second, they're way, 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 way more aggressive than any of us just thinking about these things. So when they're pushing for that stuff, it's questionable, and often I think that it's just to Trojan horse your way into, trying to advance. I think a lot of people have like FOMO, or
Yes.
not FOMO, like just, well, that, yes, sort of FOMO, but also just envy of like
Mhm.
the cannabis industry. Like they missed
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
So they think they can recreate um, a gold rush. And it's like, I don't
That's
know, man. In my opinion, I pity the fool. Like, go ahead, but that shit's going to come back on you.
right. Well, that's why I think I'm stick to my guns in the community in the DMT world with doing it yourself. We will teach you. We will be happy to guide you into how to grow your own mushrooms and cultivate. We will be
There's no reason
happy.
to offer
We'll,
stepping stones to pharma.
Right. Like when we can take it upon our own hands to do it, like I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to instruct you. I'm going to give you as much knowledge because this knowledge is free. It should always be free. Nobody ever gets to should be ever get to gatekeep any of this. We are here because we want to learn how to do this for ourselves because we are going to be the people that when all this stuff gets, we're going to be the ones that are going to get lost in the shuffle. That's why I really think like the people in our community should also get to be at the table and have the conversation with pharma, with the therapists, with with all the different. We all should get a place at the table and have the conversation. We all should get to be heard. We all should get to be a part of this. That includes every person in every different country and every different tribe and we all are utilizing these medicines. Nobody has a grapple on this is mine, this is mine. We all should get to have a seat at this table, and we should be making these decisions together. And right at this point in time, that's not what's happening. It's not what's happening. I mean, what do you think about the MAPS convention that just happened in Colorado? Do you know much about it? Do you have any thoughts? Hello? Spyro? Did I lose you? Hello? Hello? Spyro? Hello? Well, we lost Spirotribe. I'm not sure what exactly happened. We lost a connection, so we will see if we can get him back in here and keep going with this interview. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened.
Now recording.
Okay. we are back. We have Spirotribe back here with us. Discord does these weird things where it just glitches out and it doesn't let us talk to each other. We're not sure if it's because we were talking about or what was going on, but I have Spirotribe back with me. So we are going to continue this interview. So I hope nobody left and they're still staying tuned. So what were we talking about? Do you remember before we got cut out?
I do not remember.
I think we were talking about MAPS. I asked you what you thought about the convention that MAPS had in Colorado, or do you know much about it?
What?
You didn't know this?
You didn't
yeah. Yeah, that was the last question I asked before it glitched out.
Oh, that's because it went silent way before I guess
really?
that you didn't even know. Yeah, I started texting. I was like, "Shit, you're gone."
When did it cut out on us?
Oh, fuck. That's what the last comment I just made to you, which I can't even remember right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's why I was like, it's because what we were talking about, because you had just started talking about something dicey. I don't remember.
Now we all needed to have a conversation and be at the table. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but I don't remember. Who cares?
Okay.
Let's just
it doesn't matter. Over. It doesn't matter. I'll edit when we go in there and I'm listening, putting it together. So okay, here's a question for you. So what do you wish your younger self knew about psychedelics, if anything, before? Because we're not spring chickens.
That is so hard. I know. It's there's that, and also it's it's so hard to say like you would, because you can't rightly wish to change a thing because now it wouldn't exist for it.
Right, because you wouldn't be. Yeah.
So like, but I feel like if I had been able to, I feel like I could have utilized what I had available to me better. Sure. If I'd been a little bit more respectful, had separated very clearly fucking around and being serious about things.
I don't think we knew how. I think we were still too young and everything was like
there was no chance. Yeah. It was really
right.
No, we were like the first generation that we had these as toys. Like we had all
Right.
these drugs were for here for us to play with. Like what? You know,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, and we were all kind of on our own anyway, and it just, you know, uh,
For real. And what I've
I
noticed is like in our communities, like even like the psychedelic communities on Facebook and stuff, like the age of the people that are in these groups are closer to our age than they are the youngins. Like I don't know if it's
uh,
because it doesn't appeal to them like what we're doing or like where we're at mindset wise. I do notice we get young kids that come into the DMT World community and they don't stay around very long. And I just don't think it's because I don't think they know how to gel with us. Of course, a lot of those kids are coming in trying to find drugs too, and we have a no illegal sourcing policy, so they figure out they can't
yeah.
buy drugs out off the people off our sites, and they're gone. They leave, and that's a good portion of people. Period. If they can't find any drugs, they're gonna leave and go to another platform, which is perfectly fine because I want to keep all that illegal stuff off there. I'll show you how to and help you do it yourself. But when it comes to illegal sourcing, we can't do that. That's what gets sites shut down. And
Yeah, I
and
hadn't thought of that. How
I
many
don't know why
people
people,
just show up for that
yeah,
reason?
in a lot. Like I go and I look at the community and see all the people that have registered, and I'm like, I haven't seen half these people in a long time. And it's because they legitimately came on, and a lot of them couldn't get what they were looking for, and so they just leave. And I mean, we saw
Well,
it
if they
when people
paid,
come in and they're trying to deal, and it's like, come on, why are you coming into a community where we're doing it ourselves trying to deal? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
right? No,
It's
I
clearly we
know.
know how to do it, that we know how to
Eh,
extract and we know how to grow
I mean, I
mushrooms.
know
Like,
you know.
why are you trying to give it? Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but I don't know. I just think,
Well, it's a starting point. I mean, it's part of the big picture, and part of meshing with society is rolling with rules,
yeah,
and also being creative and cunning and thoughtful and ingenuitive and intuitive. And if you're not those things and you're expecting psychedelics to just fall into your lap,
yep,
like, and they're not, then I'm not sure if you should push in that. I feel like it's okay that though that it's not a sourcing place because it's kind of, I mean, it's like it serves a greater purpose than that. And
right.
I mean,
We
it's
are not
interesting because I know I would have tried when I was a kid. I don't know what the fuck I'd do right now. All that there's so much poison drugs. I would only want to know how to make my own. Everything
exactly
is so fucked up out there
right.
and scary. And like I'm telling you, if you've ever done a real drug in your goddamn life, you don't want to pick up a psychedelic. You don't even want weed from some questionable source. I don't know how
Right.
the fuck people smoke not knowing what they're using, because for me, when I use cannabis, it's quite psychedelic. And
Yeah.
if I'm questioning about origin or safety or purity or any of that stuff when I'm trying to get into my head, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget
It's too
it. It's like
dangerous.
derailed immediately. I will
Mhm.
derail immediately and obsess and be sure. I could think myself into a bad trip over something like that, undoubtedly.
Well, and
Mostly
here's the
on
thing.
weed.
You made the comment, when we were younger, we had a playground. Like we had access to just these things and to consume them, and we weren't afraid. I wasn't afraid. I didn't, I didn't have to. I wasn't testing that stuff. Of course, I knew the people I was getting my stuff. They knew where it was coming from. Like it wasn't this. It wasn't what we have now, and it's like I'm alarmed with how much harm reduction we don't talk about. And I'm
Yeah.
alarmed how much fentanyl stuff we are talking about in our everyday news in our world, but we're not talking about harm reduction, how to make sure that we know people are going to be consuming substances. We know this. There's no stopping it. It's been like this forever. Why are we not talking about how to make sure that these young kids who are coming up in the world, they're just trying whatever, are safe? Like, why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't even on our news? Like, we're talking about in these certain cities where we are trying, we have sites, we have places where people can go and they can use their substances and do what they need to do safely. But again, like, we're still not really talking about harm reductions. We're just allowing them to have a place to do these things, quote unquote, safely. But we're not teaching about, like, we're not talking about doses and the proper doses and how to test your stuff. Like, it's so many people that come up on the Discord and they're like, does this look good? And they show a picture and it's like, okay, you're on the other side of the computer screen. I can't really be like, oh yeah, that looks good. It looks clean. It looks pure. You're like, you're A-okay. I'm never going to tell somebody that on the computer on the other side of a screen just by looking at a picture. That's stupid. And
Well,
then
do you
something
remember
happens.
how we did my dosing, which was pretty irresponsible? And this alludes to your point.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
was it was do more, I don't know, fill it to the top. That was it. So like, you know, I don't know that everyone in the world can handle that sort of whoops, or maybe like the learning curve is
I
massive.
I
And
think
with
it went. I think it went like this. If it were me,
oh
I
yeah,
would do
maybe.
it this way. But it is. It's
Look,
like
I mean,
we have to take
yeah.
responsibility for, like, I have to take responsibility for a community that I'm help running, in making sure that we keep in the ears of the people and make sure that they understand that the drugs are not safe. Not like we are not in the 90s. We're not even in the early 2000s. Like, we 2023, and our biggest fear is if my weed is laced with fentanyl. Like, that's so crazy. My kids talk to
Huh.
me about this, and it's like, you
Is
have
that
to be
real?
careful.
Is that
Yeah.
real?
Yeah, there's stuff
What?
going around
Why?
Topeka. There's just stuff going around Topeka, that stuff that's coming up in here, and it's on the streets. We're not a legal
Is
state,
it really
okay?
supposed to make you hooked on weed? Is that like somebody's nefarious plan to be like,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
so what
put
they're
fentanyl in the weed and then everyone
yeah,
will be
okay.
hooked?
So this is what's happening.
Fucking
So
genius. What an asshole.
it's well, listen, it's lower grade weed that's coming through wherever. I don't even know where it's coming through, but it's okay. So we have a highway that comes right through to the Kansas, and it's a major traffic way. Well, you were getting weed that comes through there that's a lower grade weed. And so what they do is they dust it with fentanyl, because you take a hit off of it and you immediately feel something off of it, you're high. And so then that's all it takes. It just takes that one time and you get high. And then you want to keep doing it, but you want that high. You don't want the actual THC high. You're not even actually smoking really good
That's
THC. You're
like the
smoking
dirtiest
lower
trick in the
grade
world.
shit, but you're getting high off that fentanyl.
Yeah, those are the kind of folks that probably should be murdered in the streets.
No, we're not murdered. We don't
Sorry, no,
we don't
I know.
condone
I'm
that.
just
But
kidding.
this is what's weird, is
Murder.
how I found out
Sorry.
about the fentanyl weed is from my kid. My kid's the one.
No,
Yeah,
it's like
my kid.
actually real, like real
Yes,
outside of the newsreel, like
yes,
tangible, like
yes. It's
So
the
wait, are
same.
they? Is this like being aggressively pursued and stuff in your area?
Well, so
I
here, let me
mean,
tell you. Let me tell you
or are
about
they
our
like,
governor. Let
whatever?
me let me tell you about some of our laws and our rules and our governor, and our these people that are old head thinking in our government in Kansas. They don't see it necessary to to with they don't see it necessary to allow us to have access to. It's illegal to have fentanyl strips to test for fentanyl.
You're not allowed to have testing strips.
Nope, not for fentanyl. They won't pass it. They don't see it necessary.
So if you just try to order them on Amazon, they won't come to you
Well,
in
right.
Kansas.
Well, no, it's like we are not able to be provided and get them. Like, there are places that we can go and get certain things.
Their answer is don't do drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of, here, let's help you in making sure that these substances we know that you're going to be doing anyways, because they're around, it's everywhere. They don't think that that is a necessity to be able to have those accessible to people in Kansas, because I don't think they actually believe that we have a fentanyl problem. And that's the biggest issue. Like, I don't think
Well, you
it's
probably also
seen
can't
that way.
get feminine products when you're poor. So you also don't have a menstruation problem. So you're good, man.
Well, we have a lot more people in Kansas that actually, we do have places that provide those things because of
Ugh,
nonprofits that find that that is
good.
necessary. Yeah, we have those. We have
Like
the
not being
people,
able to buy and I don't know what it's like if it's the same in Kansas, but with EBT, you can't buy
certain
anything
things.
for your home. Like you can't buy soap or detergent or pet food or toilet paper. You can only buy, you can't buy anything pre-made. Like I could buy a
Right,
Red Bull the size of my leg, but I
right.
couldn't
But you
buy
can't
a
buy, yeah,
sandwich
or coffee, a cup of coffee,
or a
or
cup of
yeah.
coffee. No, not,
Right.
it's
No,
so
yeah. No, that's how it is in
screwed up.
Kansas too. That's why they allot the cash part, where you're actually get cash, so you can use that cash for those types of
For
things, and then your
fentanyl.
EBT. Yeah. Well, I mean, well, yeah, we got a lot of people that do a lot of trading and stuff, and
I'm no doubt, man. This shit's fucking real.
so yeah, it's kind of fun. So okay, so let's talk about, like, so
Something less powerful.
yeah, what do you do? Like, what is your career path? Are you on a career path? What do you do to survive or live, or you hang out? Like, what do you do for?
I'm a model. No, uh, well, right now I'm just delivering. I deliver medication.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I've been my universe is pretty much just. Uh, it's hard to. I don't want to play like the. I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm not going to blame and whatever. But there was a lot of time spent being sick and confused, and my career universe certainly got pushed way, way, way away. And
Hmm.
my goals became survival of myself and the love of my family and my mother and my sister and my nephews, and just to focus on that.
Right.
And then from there, hopefully, you know, I wouldn't be too old and tattered to maybe do something that I was passionate about. So, um, as it turns out, the
Hmm.
universe has uh, so far, everything is still all systems go. We're just
Right.
in the process of it happening, but you know, I've been offered the opportunity to be part of a cannabis dispensary in New Jersey.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, like close, be part of. You know,
Yeah.
it's not mine, but of course, I was, I was invited to be part of the core. So that's like
That's
really special to
exciting.
me.
That's
Yeah,
exciting,
like
especially since cannabis is your favorite thing in the world.
it's so, absolutely. I mean, there's no, and my buddy, like who's involved in it with me, we both. It's like we take it for granted in a way. Very, very appreciative on the daily, but there's a
Mhm.
big picture part of this that we just kind of forget that
Right.
like it's been there patting us on the back, picking us up in the morning, putting us to bed at night, getting
Right.
us our dinner, keeping our heads fucking straight, bringing us back together after mega fucking trauma.
Yep.
Brandon, I mean, he's been through his own. He has, I won't say what his shit's all about, but it was like, you know, well, like he also has, we got Lyme like around the exact same time. Um,
Brandon,
interestingly,
Brandon, who is
who's
Brandon? who-
the accessory in this
and he has Lyme disease as well. Is
yeah,
that what you
totally.
said?
We're buds.
Oh,
Yeah, and cannabis brought us together to begin with. Like I sold him his first bag, and we were neighborhood buddies when we were kids. Not neighborhood buddies until we were a little bit older, but we were in the
yeah.
same like lake community.
Oh, okay.
And like it's like you know how it is when you I don't know. Well, anyway, yeah. So later in life we got much closer. Later in life, like when we were 15, and then it just kind of moved on. Like everybody else, there are some friends that you get to keep for a long while, and others just keep moving. And
Right.
he's one of those ones that you know. So we're gonna be able to like work together and make this thing happen.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, and like the part of this part of New Jersey that we're in will have access to whatever we've got access to.
That's
Like
awesome.
we're not cultivators. Yeah,
Right.
we don't have a cultivation license
Right.
yet, but maybe that might that's the I think that we've begun application for a vertical process license, a vertical, which means you can do everything from the ground up, like seed to sale. You can do it. Where now we're restricted to business. I'm sorry, just not business. This selling, distribution, business,
Right.
distribution. So we'll be able to hopefully we will be able to provide. Because like I take for granted, man. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. Like I was the only thing for me was I was on so much ibuprofen and fucking alcohol. Like it's like it's a there's a recipe for death. Like it's just not, you know. So
Yeah.
hopefully, and I just end up taking it for granted, like because I'm so used to it. I've leaned on it for so long. So taking a step back and being like, no, no, like look, don't take it for granted. It's other people. You need to go do your job and get this to everyone you can that wants it. And so hopefully that's how
Right.
it's all going to continue to work out. I'm hesitant. I keep saying hopefully because, I'm like superstitious and my heart is there and in my mind, I'm in that dimension already. It's happening. But
Right.
I don't want to fucking poke the bull.
Oh yeah. Totally. I totally understand. But that's great. That's
Mhm.
great that you at this point in time are now getting to work towards that thing that is hopefully gonna make you happy. That's the ultimate goal, right?
And and recognizing how much help that and psychedelic training circling
Yeah,
back because like
exactly.
being that like we're going on a bull run warrior, like that's
Hmm.
actually doing something,
Right.
and like you might
Absolutely.
not realize, but when you know I don't know, I don't know how to frame that. I don't know how to even talk about that without just sounding like an idiot. It's it's weird. Like sometimes you see people struggling and you just kind of know that that's kind of what they need
Yes.
and that would really help them figure out how to help themselves.
Correct.
It's not like giving
You
someone,
you have somebody close that you have built a friendship with that you've done exactly that with, haven't don't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Billy today and his belly button right now, he comes walking out of his house and he walks real slow and he's
Yeah.
really thin and he has his belly button protrudes like 4 inches or so, like
Oh
out
my.
of his
Definite
actual belly.
outie. Uh-huh.
no, it's from his illness. It's
Oh,
beyond. No, it's not normal. No, it's like half of a fucking wine bottle.
oh my
It's
goodness.
it's a herniation. So this is
Oh,
his this is part of his fucking shit life. So
mm.
he poor Billy with everything. I don't even know, but he comes walking out and he's like, dude, it's fucking embarrassing. And he's got his hands on it. Like it looks like he's holding a drink, but it's his
Oh,
fucking belly button
wow.
herniated and distended outside of his abdomen that's like full of fluid.
Oh
And
no.
he's got it like it's all bandaged up, and since he's in such bad shape with his heart and everything and his fucking liver shot, he's got like half of a kidney, just the one, and it's broken, and he's
Mm.
on dialysis. His heart
Right.
valves don't work. I mean, even talking to him, yeah, he has to laugh because he's terrified. It's like how he's even alive is fucking amazing. Every minute is a challenge. And yeah, like when I met Billy before he had the belly button boner, which is just fucking amazing. And
Right.
I can't even look at it. He knows he's how he continues on. I have no idea. But when I first met him, I had seen him. I worked in a pharmacy, and he was just sitting outside waiting for his medication. And you can kind of tell when somebody's waiting for narcotics. And
Yes.
I was like, "Hey, man, you look like you need to. You look like you're not having a good time." And he's like, "No, bro." And I was like, "Do you smoke? Like, can you smoke weed?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you want me to give you some weed and help you get in the medical marijuana program?" And he's like, "Dude, what?" I was like,
It,
"Yeah, yeah." And so I just kind of hooked him up because he was fucking struggling, and this was like 4 years ago. I mean, and he was really in a bad way then. Things have only gotten more challenging. And just when I just saw him today, he had the belly button thing going on, and I gave him a cartridge uh, because I cashed out his $205 that he made from the GoFundMe, which was just like kind of tragic. I
right.
don't know how to explain this shit to people. It sounds like a scam. Nobody knows from Billy. He has no trace of anything on social media. My social media, footprint is sketchy at best. So, it was a shot in the dark anyway, but I gave him like 198 bucks or something I have for him. So when he
Right.
needs weed, I'll just go pick him some up. Um, and I brought him his cartridge today, and we stood in my car for a few minutes, and he had like a puff and it hit him off really good, which always makes me so happy when he's so fucking hopeless. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. Like it's so fucked up that if I was trying to be dramatic, you'd be like, we can't talk about this anymore.
Right.
But so it's just that like on the subject of that and like cannabis bringing people together and watching the little green angels fucking do their magic is beautiful. And you know I don't even know. I'm sad for Billy. He died twice this year,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Yeah.
that's hard to swallow. That's fucking real. We forget about those things, like those words, and like for instance, Billy's had that much of a hard time, and he's also expressed wanting to eat mushrooms.
Right.
And I'm in a position and a half because I'm like, I am absolutely not qualified to
Go down that
be
route.
that middleman. Like I'm not,
Right.
I can't, I don't know what to say. And so like was circling back to the whole therapeutic thing, like what the
Right.
fuck do you do in a situation like that? It's like Billy is really he needs help for pre-death anxiety and fear and
Right.
integration and coping. Like he really needs real medicine right now.
Right.
and I can't give it to him. I
Right.
certainly can't get him the however many thousands of dollars it would cost to travel to some place in Northern California and the redwood forest and get that taken care of.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I don't know what to do, and I have to just be like, bro. And I tell him like, I don't know, because he doesn't have any past, any experience with psychedelics at all. But his
Right.
heart is telling him to ask me, incidentally, out of everyone he might know, I'm the absolutely definitely only person that, like, could help him out like that. And it's
Sure.
really hard to be like, but I don't know if that's like spiritually okay. I feel like it's fucked up for me to deny you, but I feel like it might be more messed up for me to jump
Assist and
in
help. Yeah.
there as if I had the skills to do that safely with you. And
Correct.
it fucking hurts. It legitimately hurts my heart because I know that he's chained down by like these things, and some of us are able to get away, and others are fucking chained down in such a dark, lost way,
Yeah.
and I wish I could just hand him over to the psychedelic authorities and be like,
And
come on,
stay here.
iron this
Yeah.
kid out, iron him out before he goes. That's all he wants. He just wants to be at peace and understand some stuff and feel okay.
Yeah.
uh, it's hard. And every time I wake up, not every time I wake up, that's not what I meant to say. Every time it occurs to me to give Billy a ring, I think, did he die? Like
Right.
that's part of the process of my thought is Billy dead? It's weird. And I mean that's not like a oh feel bad for me fucking thing. That's like
Right.
I can't believe the struggle that some people have to endure. And I mean, granted, his house is burned down twice and
Oh.
things aren't comfortable for him, but other people have it much fucking worse.
Right.
Billy's got it pretty bad. But anyway, I don't know. Yes, and those are the kind of real, like when people look at the cannabis industry and they go stoners. It's like you have no idea until you're curled up in a ball on the floor, fucking dying because you
Right.
have a fever that's out of control, or you're blowing black shit out of both ends of your body, or you can't stop seizing up, and like you're definitely gonna have a fucking heart attack, or eyes are gonna shoot out of your head, or both.
You're going to die one of these times. Yes.
Like yeah, or yeah, or like you're doing the things that are before that when you're
Right.
sick.
Yep.
And cannabis has a way of getting in there and being like, all right, let's just not panic. Everybody on deck.
Right.
You get in your place. You get in your place. Calm the fuck down. I mean, it also can work the other way. But in my experience, people that are very, very sick, as long as they're not having hardcore mental stuff, like
Yeah.
real psychological
Right.
difficulty, nobody has any problem with what cannabis has to
Offer.
ask of you. Yes.
Correct.
Well, it's what to offer, but there's rules.
Right.
Like if you're gonna anyway, like please lay down or eat.
How you're going to consume it and what you're going to do with it when you consume it. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And not letting it become another abusive thing or whatever. It's interesting because everybody's experience is 100% different almost. I mean, maybe not 100, but
Well, that's because we're all individuals and we all experience things individually. We would like to think we're a hive mind, but we have to break off and understand that we're individuals. I'm not going to experience the same things the same way other people are. And that's okay. That's okay. So,
well, right.
how
It's all connected, but it's not all the same. It's like
exactly.
totally
We're
absolutely, yeah, it's
one,
like
but we are individual that
that's what
are make
makes
up the
it
one.
that's what makes it the one and not just a teeny little singular nothing one.
Right. We're all one, but we make up. We each
all
individually
the
make
things.
up the one. That's correct. We all have place. We all have purpose. We all have a part of the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about how do you feel or what do you think about where psychedelics in 2023, moving into 2024, how do you feel about where psychedelics are right now in the mainstream? Because we see it everywhere.
Honestly,
We
I don't know enough. I don't know very much about the mainstream right now. Like, I couldn't really tell you.
Yeah.
I could almost
Well,
not even comment. I
so
mean, I
in
would be
new
so out of touch.
so in your where you're at, is there any decriminalization or legalization of psychedelics
Oh,
happening?
you mean like that sort of stuff?
Well, anything.
You
Like
don't mean,
we've seen this
yeah.
big boom. Like we're now seeing like you can pull up your internet, your computer, and you're seeing advertisements for mushrooms. You're seeing advertisements. We're seeing in the
Oh my
news.
God, I did.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. I saw
right,
Amanita muscara things on.
right,
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
right.
That
It's
is
out
not a
there.
good idea.
It's
Like,
it's out there. It's
stop
it's
it.
coming. Like we're seeing it. We're
Oh,
seeing the corporation part of it starting to really boom. We're seeing the symbols.
I
We're
don't know,
seeing
man.
people.
It's a
We're
fucking
seeing
jungle, dude.
well, things like we're seeing people wearing the mushrooms. We're seeing the people dressing in the certain. We're seeing like, and all this is part of what this movement is happening. It's coming out of the dark shadows where we all used to hide and pretend that we were all normal, and now the
Oh, I
psychedelics are
love
coming
that.
out.
I love
um,
that part.
I like the
I'm
fact.
concerned.
I like the
I
fact
mean,
that
if you're like,
I can be more open than I have been. I've always been very open about what I do and consume and everything, but
I
I like.
so wear my shit on my sleeve. I haven't been living in that closet. I know some people are like, "Thank God, hallelujah," but I've just been this way. I
Well,
can
I
hardly
me
identify.
me too. I mean, I walk around in tie dye and like you look at everything that I own, you can tell. Well, at least I can. Some people, I don't know. They just I don't know, but. So you haven't really noticed much with what's going in the mainstream. Where would you like to see the community go with psychedelics? If you could predict it or you could make it happen, what would you like to see happen?
Oh, geez. Uh, well, I think that right now we're doing some really important DMT research and mapping and all that stuff. And
Yes.
I feel like it would be really great if we got to a place where we were just able to understand that, for like, have this community validate that it's real, that this is
Yep.
a truth, this is a thing, and then use the psychedelics the ways that we have been talking about, like
Right.
spiritually or medicinally or whatever, but mostly in my I don't even know if I should say it out loud. Like, how should I frame it? Like, I have this fictional idea about how to escape the enslavement by the machines.
Right.
And I feel like that it's just too fucking crazy that later in life, as I'm realizing that some of the ideas that were in some of our movies and stuff when we were young, and especially The Matrix, but it's so loaded with political bullshit that I don't even like saying the words. But they were really right on with a lot of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when I think about how fucking crazy this might actually really be, and I consider that the psychedelic training might be the only thing that can save human consciousness from becoming something like a battery, because we know that we never die. We know we never die. That's almost the whole takeaway message of the human fucking experience, is that we never die.
Right.
And like, that to an AI, it's like you're a fucking asshole with a battery stuffed up your ass, and I want it. I
Right.
don't care about anything else. But as far as weird, anomalous things occurring in the universe go, the indelible spirit of a human being and the consciousness thing, I think psychedelics might be a way, the only way for us to either utilize directly or train to hop over a dimension or something to like get away
Yeah.
from this shit. You're like, I'm not real
Timeline
sure.
jumping.
I don't really want to die and then have someone else take my battery because
Right.
I am no longer in control of my body. And that may even kind of be like what's happening now, like as a silent, confusing, hallucinatory enslavement, and that
Mm.
the that using some of these substances might help us wake up from that. And when I say that out loud, I go, "That's the fucking Matrix again." And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't. It's I can't help it. I'm not. I've not sat here and watched these movies over and over or something. It's
Right.
just like the way that I have been a fan of Alex and Allison Gray since probably 1990 or 90. I don't know when the first day was. I was young, and
Right.
and those ideas, it's like the same thing when you see certain types of art or when you hear certain types of music, and you know that that thing has been brought back from the other side to be shared because you experienced it but you couldn't bring it back.
Right.
That's like brilliant music, brilliant artwork, and truth. I
Yeah.
think when enough people bring back this thing and they're like, yeah, I don't know, like there's something going on and it's shady. I have a mouse in my house that I
Yeah.
keep, and he's in a cage. It's a big cage, but I keep the roof open so he can leave if he wants to. He chooses to live in it. He could
Mm.
leave and live in the house, but he chooses to live in the cage. And I have a snake in the next room who will eat the mouse. And the mouse is here because I allowed him to live because he fought and didn't want to get eaten by the snake. So
Mm.
I keep him, and he's like he's the second generation of the first mouse that fought and didn't want to face whatever it is that happens when the serpent comes and it eats you.
Right.
And like the metaphoric game is ridiculous. I feel like we're in something that I am not articulate or bright enough to um like really depict clearly, and I'm not that intuitive because I just don't really know what the fuck is going on. But when I mess with the mice, it's so hard to not imagine that this is all just like zoom out, like meta zoom out. And like
Right.
like what part of this fucking game are we? And when I for whatever reason, I've never thought psychedelics are preparing us to become um, serpent fodder. It's more like it's more like quite the opposite, that the awareness awakens you to a process that's going on that's so big and so different. It's hard to
Mm.
understand. And I mean, obviously, there are people that study this stuff like all the time. So I'm like
Right.
kind of talking a little bit out my ass, and I know that I sound kind of juvenile or like naive, you know, but this is where we're at, and I'm not a scientist, but it's
Right.
happening.
But you
And
aren't. But you're aware, and that's enough. You are aware of
aware
this.
through experience is the
Right.
thing. Like when you pick this shit up and then later someone says, oh, by the way, there's a whole school of thought that's just working its tail dizzy on
Mm.
this idea that you had that came naturally to you, because it doesn't just come naturally to you, it comes naturally to us,
Right.
which is what's fucking real weird. That's when it
Mm.
gets weird.
Yep.
And it's
I
like
agree.
so So like, I don't know, I guess we're all just supposed to, be kind of in a haze. And that's one of the problems I have with cannabis is that there's a little bit of it that's a smoke screen. That's
Yeah.
like,
The cushion,
go ahead,
yes.
like take the stoner bait and go eat your fucking Doritos and watch whatever movies and whatever. And
Mhm.
it's, still that's fine. And still, by the way, big pharma, cannabis will always backfire because cannabis teaches. So until they can figure out a way to make it so that cannabis just makes you stare at stuff and to eat and not think anymore,
Right.
they're just cannabis isn't going to be. It's not going to work, and that might be part of why we're going through this like we are right now. And big pharma hasn't done too much with it.
Manipulated it, yeah. It's true.
I
I
mean,
agree
they
with that.
kind of haven't. I mean, unless they have and we haven't known. Well, so that's a whole other X file. If like the whole genetically modified cannabis thing is like really darkly nefarious and we have
Mm,
no idea what's
we
to
don't know.
come.
Yeah, that's scary to think about that. I don't like that. I already don't like the fact that we have broken down the cannabis plant into isolating the different isotopes of it and the
uh,
different terpenes, and like where we no longer utilize the plant as the whole. We're now taking it apart and like dissecting it. I don't like that. I liked what the whole cannabis plant did for me. Like I liked the whole complete feeling. I like the high is different now. I mean, everything about it. You don't get. I mean, it's a different feeling of high with what we're smoking now. And I don't know. It's just I have
but
this.
see, they've branded that. They branded that feeling is on purpose because
Yes,
now you're going to have to shop for the one that works for you.
that makes me feel like that. Yeah, and the fact that
Yeah, well,
you know
that's great job on them. Fucking, it's Mad Men, dude. They did that on purpose.
on purpose.
Everybody that smokes cannabis needs to have some CBD. Like there was
Yes.
almost no weed on Earth that didn't have a little CBD in it, and
We
now it's a
all used
separate
to actually
product.
have, we used to have the CBD and the THC in our
Of
bodies. We used to
course,
actually consume it through our foods, through the animals, because it was everywhere. And now we don't have it in our systems. It's not existent in our system. It's also another thing that really bothers me is like our seeds are like, we are creating plants without seeds now. Well, what happens when we no longer have
no,
seeds?
it's control. I mean, without the seeds, then there's no freedom to continue its life.
Right.
I mean,
This is what I think
it's.
about when I think about
Ooh,
the barks that we extract from. Like
well,
I
don't even get
teach
me
and
started.
I instruct so many people in extracting and like where they can get, where they can get bark at. And I also then I start to thinking how much bark have people bought and how much of this have we depleted the resources are people who are now doing massive manufacturing. Okay, well, here we go. We have now legalized certain psychedelics to be used. Okay, well, then we're going to start massively starting to extract from all these things. So, like, what does that do? Does that deplete this plant? And, like, does that endanger this plant after a while from so many years of
Of
all of it? I
course.
mean, it's
No,
this.
the
Mhm.
are the people that this stuff is coming from to begin with at the very end of the chain, are they ethically wildcrafting mimosa root bark? I don't fucking think so. And
Yeah.
so and I mean, the same thing. I was really glad to see that Hamilton Morris was like, I'm going to show you that it's possible to make bufo. One person could make enough for probably everyone, and I'm going to go do it. I saw the episode. He goes to Mexico and he makes 5-MeO DMT without a toad, but he makes so much it's ridiculous. And he's just like, see, done and dusted. Stop fucking with the toads. Like if you're gonna evolve, if you're going to use these things and you're going to listen, then fucking acknowledge or you're gonna get fucked. Like grow and evolve or fuck off. It's that simple. And like I feel like, there has to be probably a better way to find root bark
Right.
but at this and or just figure out a way to be wise about that. Like it upsets me. One of the things that upsets me about DW is when people start having penis measuring contests. It just drives me fucking crazy. And I'm like, grow. It's like, stop. Like about yields. If I see one more yield post, like, and I get it because between kids, it is what it is. It's fucking fun and it's cool. But the thought and the thinking has to change about all that stuff.
Well,
And
that's
if
ego.
it does,
But
I
that's
know,
ego.
but it comes down to disrespect at the end of the day.
But
And so,
again, you're going to throw psychedelics and you're going to throw ego. I mean, ego comes, and then when we are doing it ourselves and we want to produce the
I mean,
best
it's
we
a
can
point
and
of
show
pride.
off, right? And
It's
it
a
just
point
is.
of pride,
But
but
I can tell you, it doesn't happen as much as it used to in our platform.
I was just going to say, I was going to say, let me say, I haven't been Aaron forever.
Right, and
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 it's
it doesn't.
part
I
of the
can.
part of the process.
Right, and it
I
doesn't.
haven't spent any true time
Right.
like being truly acknowledging what people are putting up there. I do a quick zoom, and then I feel it, and I
Right.
usually split or
Yep.
just stay
Okay, so
quiet.
I've got one more.
Ooh.
Okay, I have one more question and then we will wrap this up. Okay,
And
so this last
then I'll be
question
able
is
to be able to relive the conversation and every single thing, rehash everything I've said for the next several days.
yeah, exactly. Okay,
Uh,
so the last question I'm going to ask you is so what would you like to say anything? What would you like to say to the community? It can be anything that you would just like the community to know or you would like to say to them, a word of advice or just anything.
oh man. Probably something like don't lose hope and like shit like that, like keep positive and let life do its thing. Keep breathing. Like
Yeah, that's important.
all what you're doing is for a reason and you don't get it. You're not supposed to. Just keep doing your very best and fucking hope it makes you smile from time to time.
Yeah.
I really
Well,
don't know.
yeah.
I honestly there's like life for me, like when you're life is I just as you it's so silly to say, but as you get older, it's just amazing how different everyone's lives start to pan out. And when I take a second and I pop out and take a look at everybody else and I check out like people's demeanor and the way that they're responding to life or the way that things are right now.
Right.
Everybody is so different. And I mean it's such a silly thing it seems just so silly to say because it's like obviously duh. But but for me, like, when addressing like a community that is composed of people that are largely marginalized or outcast or something for the way that we sort of are born or choose to see the world
Right.
or our beliefs or what we want to do to just the way we want to live our lives, like however that manifests.
Right.
It's just we don't live in a world that's accommodating to that kind of attitude. So it's
Yeah.
harder for
Yep.
us, and especially when we're sensitive ones. And,
Agreed.
to say something like, well, it gets better. Eh, it gets easier to cope with, but
True.
it doesn't often get too much better. But I think
Right.
that like there are periods that it will be awesome, probably for each of us. And to just not like go with that that hope and keep loving the people around you and doing the next right thing. And don't be
Right.
a dick. Just do your part. Just don't be a dick. Do your part. And that's fucking it, man.
Right. Okay.
What else
Well,
is there?
it has been good time sitting here talking, even though we got cut off at one point in time. We pulled it back together. So at this point in time, we're going to wrap up this interview. It was really good sitting and getting to talk to you. I hope you enjoyed the interview and didn't freak you out too much.
No, it's so bizarre to me, but I feel like right now I feel so much closer to you. I
Good.
just was a little bit flipped, a little bit wigged out because I turned around to walk into the living room because in my head I was like, I'm gonna go smoke a bowl with Happy.
Right.
You're so not in my living room,
One
Happy.
of these days, one of these days. Okay, well, I am going to tell the community thank you for listening to this interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will have more of these coming in the future in between the solo rambling rabbits that you get here and there. So I hope everybody enjoys this, and I hope everybody just keeps ascending. We will talk with you guys later.
Love
Okay.
you. Bye.